So this week what I want you to do is we're going to create a simple movie. I want you to create a beach scene. So we're actually going to go through together and create a beach scene. We're actually going to, you and I will go through and we'll start at the basics, creating this beach scene. The beach is going to have clouds, it's going to have a sun, it's going to have the ocean, it's going to have some birds flying in it. It's going to change from morning till night. And in the morning, at night, we'll have some moon and some stars. So it's going to be a pretty in-depth, short scene. What we'll do first is we'll set up the beach. When we talk about putting layers, when we talk about putting a scene together, we have to realize that we need some layers. We're going to actually go in and start naming these. We're going to say the beach. We're going to say ocean. Sky. Now remember, when we start playing with Flash, it's like laying paper on top of paper. If you put a hole in the paper, you'll see the paper underneath. If you don't put a hole in it, you won't see anything. So when we talk about that, and we kind of talked about that before in past tutorials, is we want to recognize that our layers here are one on top of the other. Okay, so when you can't see something, it's usually because the layer above it is blocking it. I'm going to put in, I'm going to have a palm tree. We want to kind of go in and start doing our layers. Now, here's the problem with creating a bunch of layers right now. If I go in and I say I want my timeline, let's say we'll make our timeline 200 frames. I'm going to click on the 200th frame in the beach scene, and notice when I go insert frame, I get my timeline. I get all the frames in my timeline to 200. Problem is, now I got to go in and select all of these so that when I go to insert frame here, they all get the timeline extended. Notice now though, if I go to insert a new timeline, the next layer automatically is extended all the way to 200, so I don't have to worry about it. When we figured out how long we want our movie to be, let's do that in the first layer, and then every time we add a layer, we'll automatically have the same length in the timeline. Okay, I have, obviously I want the sun for my daytime scene. Okay, and I can add more layers now. I can add a bird layer. So I'm going to go ahead and add a bird layer. The other thing that we're going to do with this movie is we're going to add sound. This will be our first time adding sound to the movie. We're going to add animation. We're going to go in and put motion tweening. We might even put some shape tweening in here. We're also going to add sound. So we're going to have a kind of a complete movie package. So this will be your first foray into actually creating a short movie or cartoon. I'm going to go to show frame so that my staging area, or my stage right here, is viewable. The easiest way we can go in and actually block out big chunks is I'm just going to go ahead and pick my rectangle tool. I don't want a stroke on it, so I'm going to take the stroke off, and I'm just going to try and see if I can get a beach sand color. Okay, I'm going to go in here, lay it down over this. I don't have to be exact, I can go outside the lines, but I want to make sure that I'm in all the way here as well. Okay. We're going to work right now with the document the way it is. We're going to work with 550 by 400. We can put a title in here, say beach movie, and if we want to put a description we can do that, and we'll just say okay. So I have my beach laid down. Nothing to it yet. Don't really have to worry about anything yet. Problem is, I'm missing my beach. What happened? Guess what? I was working in my bird layer. So I'm going to select this, hit edit, cut. I'm going to go down to my beach, select that keyframe right there, hit edit, paste in place, and it puts it now on that timeline. So if I turn it off, it tells me that it's where it needs to be. We have to remember when we're working in layers, we want to work in the layer, okay, where we're going to put our items. I'm going to lock this layer down because right now I don't want to play with it. I'm going to go next to the ocean, and I'm going to do the same thing. I can, and I will make some changes, but for right now I'm just going to kind of block it out. I'm in my rectangle tool. I want my ocean to be kind of blue, so I'm just going to kind of come in here and lay my ocean down. Doesn't look really fancy, but remember, we're just blocking this. Now I can go in with my paintbrush if I want and come in here and just kind of, remember, because I'm working in the ocean layer in the keyframe, okay, oops, I don't want to put that there. I'm going to get it some change. I can come in here and make some changes, add some depth. And remember that this is going to all merge because why? Because I'm working in that frame, I'm working in that layer in the ocean keyframe, and once I start playing with this, and it's going to all connect. So once I boxed it in, now I kind of came in and I'm going to customize it and give it a different, kind of that wavy look. Okay. If I want to add foam to this, one of the things I'm going to want to do is add a foam layer. If I put white on here, remember what happened last time? It eats away at the layer underneath. Okay, so remember that it eats away at the layer underneath. So if I want foam or if I want some detail, I'm actually going to want to come in here and select the ocean layer and add another layer above that. And I can say foam or waves, whatever I want. Okay, but I want to make sure I also label my layers because it's going to make it a lot easier for me. I'm going to delete that. So I'm here in foam. Obviously I'm going to want some foam. I want it to kind of look like foam. I've got some white in there. This might be a little big, so I'm going to make it a little smaller so I can come in here and just kind of add some. Okay. So if you want to do that, you can. If I don't like this, I can just dump that puppy right in the trash can and I'm back to square one. I'm going to lock this layer down too. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to block out the sky. Same thing, I'm just going to come in here, work in the sky layer, come up here, and just kind of block in the sky. Now we have to make a decision. Do we want the sky to be over the ocean, or do we want the ocean to be over the sky? That's up to you. It'll come into play later, but for right now, it doesn't matter. We have our horizon line, so does it need to have little waves in it or little ripples? That's up to you again. But for right now, for our purposes, we're just going to really block this out right now. I'm going to go ahead and lock that. I'm going to select the palm tree layer, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go in and remember that I can come in and play around with the rectangle tool. I'm going to come in here, pick, I want to do the trunk, so I want it to be kind of a brown. And I'm going to put a square box right here. And I'm going to play with the box. Remember how we played with it before? I'm just going to kind of come in and play around with my trunk of my palm tree so that I can kind of get it to look like a palm tree. Not too hard, pretty simple. We're just blocking in the basic shape. We can move it around. You'll notice that I have my guides on. I don't want to, my snapping. I don't want it to snap to a line, and I definitely don't want it snapping to guides or snapping to my object. So I'm going to take the snap off. Okay, so now I want to go in and put some palm fronds. Same situation. If it's going to be part of the tree, make it part of the tree. Otherwise, let's add another layer and let's call these palm fronds. I think it's fronds. Okay, now I'm going to select, I'm going to lock my trunk down. I'm in my palm fronds layer. I'm going to come back here and I'm going to select my square again, and I'm going to get green. I'm just going to kind of come in here, make it long like this, and I'm going to play with it again. I'm going to move this around, and I just kind of want to get, doesn't have to be perfect, but I think I just kind of want to get an idea that That's what I want it to look like. If I want each individual palm frond to, and all I did there was I went to my transform tool and moved it around. If I want each individual palm frond to move, I'm going to create all the different palm fronds. I'm going to create 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, whatever, different palm fronds for it to move. If I don't really care about that, then I'm not going to worry about it too much. Otherwise, we're just going to kind of play around with these. I'm going to go edit, copy, paste in place. Again, I'm going to move some of these around so that I have more than one. It's easy enough. All we have to do now is start to play around with our palm fronds, and now we start to get our palm tree. I'm going to go edit, copy, paste in place. Now I'm going to bring this around this way. I'm going to rotate this puppy around. Actually, I'm going to move this. Watch that. All I did was I flipped it. So what I did was I just went from here from its original shape, and I just grabbed it. So what I did was I was here, grabbed this, rolled it over on top of itself, and rotated it that way. I can skew this. I can make it look bigger, smaller. Remember, I can skew it this way. So if I want it to have a different look, I can do that. I'm going to go ahead and edit, copy, paste in place again, and I'm going to play around with this before I start to connect my palm fronds. Okay, I kind of want them to have a different look about them, so I want to play around, rotate them, see how that looks up in there. Not bad. Now we're making short work of our project. So one of the things that we can do is, let me close that. One of the things that we can do now is we can copy this, edit, copy, paste in place. It's pasting it where it was last. I can play with this some more and make some more changes. Actually, I'm going to come in here, select this, get rid of it, and move this over. So I can come in. If I don't like the way this is starting to look, I'm going to come in and get rid of what I had before, delete that, and then bring this over, kind of merge those. It's kind of a funky looking palm tree, but that's okay. Now we've got one big palm tree. I can start to play around with it, and not too bad. Okay, so there's my palm fronds. I can play around. I can add some detail now if I want to go in. Remember, I told you I rarely use the pencil tool. I can do that if I want, or I can go in and put a line in. If I do the pencil tool, chances are I'm going to want it smooth, and I'm going to want to give it a color, probably a darker green than what it has. I'm just going to kind of come in here and make some little detail lines maybe. But anyway, so you can do all that. You can put detail lines in there. You can pretty much do whatever you want. Again, the more stuff you put in there, the more you're going to have to play. You'll probably end up playing with it later. So we've got our tree. When we talked about putting our detail lines in, actually what I would do is put a line in here. Excuse me. And put some lines in, so that what I'm going to do now is just come in here. I've put my lines down. Notice it's on the palm fronds, and I'm going to have to move that. But I'm going to click here, and I'm just going to kind of drag these out so we can kind of get maybe a little 3D look to it, so that we can start to play with these. Okay. They don't have to be perfect. Nothing in nature is. But you can kind of get an idea of what's going on here. Okay. And if I want, I can put these on its own layer. What I am going to do, though, is I'm going to group this, because this should probably be grouped so they stay together. Same with the palm fronds. We're going to group that. And then the tree, it could be grouped if we wanted it to. It's turned off currently. But if we wanted to go in and group the tree, we could go ahead and group that as well, so that when we start to manipulate this and play with it, they're all on their own layers. Now I'm going to take these, remember those lines? I'm going to hit Control X. I'm going to go to my palm tree. I'm going to hit Edit, paste in place. So now if I go to move this around, it's not part of the tree because all of this stuff is grouped again. Okay, so I can put that back. So that gives us the ability to go in and play around a little bit with our palm trees and our palm fronds and things like that. Okay, so now we have the sky, we have this, the ocean, the beach, the palm tree. I think we're going to need some clouds. So above palm fronds, I'm going to just go ahead and hit my add layer, and I'm going to turn these into clouds. Okay. And easy enough, we're playing in the cloud layer. I go to my circle. Again, I don't want to fill on this or a stroke on this, but I do want my clouds to be white and puffy. So all I'm going to do is come in here and put a couple of circles on top of each other and give me some puffy clouds. We will be able to go in and play with these later if we want to put a fill and make it more realistic looking and things like that. But what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead here, go to modify, group that cloud, and I'm going to modify these, group this cloud, and I'm going to go to modify and group those clouds. So now we have 3 separate cloud formations on our drawing. We can put them anywhere. They don't have to be particularly in any location. However, notice that my cloud is over my palm tree. We cannot have clouds over palm trees. So I'm just going to grab my cloud layer and drag it under the palm tree. So now my clouds are under my palm tree. Okay, it's important, remember when we talked about having layers, how important it is to see where they are in relationship to everything. Okay, so I have my palm trees, my palm fronds, here's my sun. I need to put a sun out there. I don't necessarily need to put my sun on the stage though. So I'm going to come over here, I'm going to grab this, I'm going to make my sun yellow. We're just going to play right now with the sun. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're just going to make it a yellow circle. I hit shift and it held it. And I'm putting it off the stage. Okay, so that we're going to make some animation or some motion twinning with the sun. Okay, so here's our sun. We've got our sun, and we need some birds. Easiest way that I know to make some birds, we're going to just have a line here and here, and then we're just going to come in here, grab it, and move it. Okay, we can, for right now, that's going to work just fine for us. We'll select that, modify, group, and there's our bird. So now we have our bird, our sun, our palm fronds, and all of that. Okay, so we have our beach, ocean, sky, clouds, palm trees, the palm fronds, the sun, the bird, and the clouds. So we don't have to really do a whole lot yet with all of this. I'm going to select this and just kind of move it off a little to the side. In fact, if I push it off to the side of the stage, what's going to show is just this little half. You'll see the line right there. Only part of this. And we can play around with that later. Location is not that important yet. Okay, I need to start doing some stuff now. I can move my cloud layers off stage if I want and have them come in. If I want each cloud to move individually though, I'm going to have to put them all on their own separate layers. But for right now, we're just going to do some basic stuff. Let's start with our clouds. We're going to go all the way down to layer 200. Well, actually, let's do this. We'll go to about layer 110. I'm going to right mouse click, hit insert keyframe. So now what I have is an instance of the clouds here and an instance of the clouds here. They're both in the same location. Okay. And I'll show you what's going to happen in a minute. I'm going to create motion tween. So now I have the clouds. They're not moving, they're not doing anything, but in this motion, I'm going to move my clouds here. So now watch what happens. Here are my clouds, and if I go to test movie, here's what they look like. So here's the movie, this is the size of the movie, and there's the clouds moving. It was easy enough. Again, all I did was I went in here, hit insert keyframe, so that I had two instances of the clouds. The original one here, and then the same instance right here, and all I did when I got here was I moved the clouds to its new location. Okay, I'll show you how we did that again with the sun. Now, the longer this frame rate is, the more frames in between these two keyframes, the slower the animation. What do I mean by that? Watch. If I grab this, hold the left mouse key down and drag it to here, watch what happens when I test my movie now. Look how fast those clouds are moving compared to how they were moving before. Okay, it's 12 frames per second. So if we have 60 frames, it's 5 seconds for those clouds to hit this location. If I go to 100 frames, it's longer. So now they're going to really move slow. So test movie. And they're going to move so much slower. Okay. And that's where they end. Now if I can go out even further so that the clouds completely move off the scene. Okay. Here's this position. If I want them to move completely out of the scene, I can just move the clouds so that they move out of the scene by 100, which means they're going to cover more distance. Or I can add frames to this. I can insert frames. Or I can move this so that it's now, I'm going to select it, move it out, so now it takes it even longer. And now when I get to frame 15, I can, almost 115, I can move these out. So we have a scene where the clouds are kind of just floating and meandering by. I can change the location of these clouds by clicking this frame and then clicking all of this and moving them out. Okay. And they're just going to move across. So again, it was pretty simple. Here's my sun. Got a problem with the sun. What's the problem? The sun is before the clouds. Not even a possibility in nature, so we got to move the sun down below the clouds. Here's the sun. Got to do the same thing. We're gonna actually modify group the sun. In the sun frame, I might take even longer to get to where I need to go. So I'm going to go in the sun layer, hit insert keyframe. So remember now, it's here in frame 129, and it's in the same location in frame 1. Okay. All we're going to do, what I want you to do is right mouse click, because we're going to create a motion tween again. And I want you to come down here, select that, and move your sun. Okay. Notice now that my sun is moving in an angular direction because of my location where I stuck it before. Okay. I can move this sun up here. Whoops, I don't want to move the sun. Let's lock those clouds down. I can move my sun way up here so that when it moves now, notice it's moving in a downward location. There's also something else I can do. Watch what happens if I click this and I change this. I'm going to make this a little smaller. Watch what happens now when I go to move my sun. My sun is large here, and it starts to get smaller as it goes down and starts to set. Okay, so all I did was when I was here in this last keyframe, I went to my free transform tool and I made it smaller. So I made it a lot smaller because the sun can get smaller as it gets further away from us. The closer it is to us, the bigger it is. And in this case, we could say that, the sun's setting, it's going to get smaller, when in reality it probably really doesn't, because we're the same distance from the sun the whole time, but we're given the illusion of distance, and that's how we do that. We're going to do the same thing with our bird, though, and our bird's going to be a little more erratic. We've gone in. We're going to go to our bird layer. Let's lock all our other layers down for now, except the bird layer. Here's our bird. We're actually going to put a couple of different keyframes in here because our bird's going to be flying around. So I'm going to right mouse click at 40, insert keyframe, right mouse click at 80, insert keyframe, right mouse click at 110, insert keyframe. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 locations of the bird, and they're all right there. Notice, however, when I click here, everything else is moving in my timeline. Okay, so here's this location here. I'm actually going to want to go and move my bird, so I'm going to select my selection tool. I'm going to move my bird down, and actually let's do this. I'm going to right mouse click, create motion tween, right mouse click, create motion tween, right mouse click, create motion tween. Okay, so what's happening now is our bird's moving. So we're here, it goes to here, and it goes back to our original location here. I want to move him around. I wanted to get him out of there. And I'm going to click him here, and I want him, oops, and I want him to move probably a little closer to the ocean. So we have our bird doing that. 1, 2, 3, and then down. Maybe he's going to get a fish, who knows. We can add a body to the bird if we want. We can make some changes. What I want you to realize though is, remember, distance is, the closer something is to you, the bigger it is. The further away it is from you, the smaller it is. So we're going to play around with this too. We're going to make this a little smaller. And because what's happening is he's getting further away from us. It is getting further away from us. So we're just going to kind of play around and make it smaller as it starts to go around. So now let's test our movie. And here's what our movie looks like so far. Here's the bird. He's a slow moving puppy, isn't he though? So we have some real issues with our bird. What we'll do is we'll click, select it, go back, select it again, and hold it down and move it. Click on it, let it go, left mouse click again, hold it, and move it down. And then again the same way here. We're going to click it, hold it down, move it. So now we have our bird moving a little faster. Test the movie. And he's going down, and he stops right there. Okay. Our sun is moving slow, but probably not slow enough for the movie. So we're going to go ahead and just click our last keyframe and move it all the way to the end in that row. We're going to go back and test it and see, where's the sun? Da, 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 da. There's the sun. The bird's moving. The bird stops. We're going to have to do something with that darn bird. And there's the sun going down. Okay. Okay. For the bird, let's do a little something here with the bird. Here's the bird. We're going to add a layer. Notice when the bird hits the water here, I think we should put a little keyframe, insert keyframe, and at the point he's at the water, maybe we can make a little ripple, like he's actually going in to get something. Actually, I want to change that. I'm going to make that white. And I'm going to pull it down a little bit so it looks like he's kind of punched the water a little bit. Okay. We obviously can't leave that there. You know, once the bird moves out, here's another instance, we're going to play with our bird. We're going to insert a keyframe, and we're going to make him fly away again. But we're going to insert, create motion tween, and we're going to make him fly out. So now what we have is this. Boom, he hits the water, and he flies away. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this because for some reason it ended up screwing us up. So here we are. The bird comes in, hits the water, and kicks out right there. Now I'm going to take that out too. Okay, so we're back here. Here's our bird. Whoops. He hits the water. gets something out, and moves away. We can't leave this white spot there for very long. So we're going to actually come in here. We're going to go Insert Keyframe. So now we have, again, we have that 2 instances of that keyframe. We're going to free transform this puppy, and we're just going to make this tiny thing almost disappear. And once the bird flies away, we'll go here. We're going to insert a blank keyframe. So now that it's completely taken away. So what we've done is we've hit the bird's hit the water, moves away. We can actually make this move closer. So we're going to actually go in and create motion tween. So the bird actually moves away. So we have this little motion tween here. Let's move that out. So now what we have is this. Here's the bird, and the water eats up the water, the little residue there. Leave it there long enough. Okay. So let's test our movie now. So there we go. Here's our bird, our clouds. The bird flies down, sees something, boom, hits it, and flies away. We can make the bird smaller too, so if we need to, we can always make him smaller here as well, because he is getting a little further away from us. But that's pretty much up to you. How you want your bird to look by the time he gets to here is pretty much up to you. But remember, we're using a little bit of perspective to try and figure out how close the bird is in reference to us. Okay, now I want you to go to File, Save As, and then just type this as beach 1 _ 1. Okay, save that in your Flash folder. So motivate yourself, move yourself to your Flash, type it as beach 1, save it, and now test your movie. Now we've got a problem. This is why we test our movies. We've got a problem. We want to go in and do what with our bird? Got to move him below that palm tree. Because otherwise, as we scrub our timeline, and that means we're just going to scrub through or move through our timeline, the bird must go behind the palm tree because the palm tree is closer, remember? And the bird's in front of the clouds, so that's good. We're all good right there. Okay? Those are the kinds of things you want to look for. Okay, save this. You're going to send this file to me. Look for the next tutorial, probably tomorrow, which will be where we go in and we're going to probably add some foam. We're going to change from day to night. We're going to add sound, and we're going to have some twinkling stars and things like that. So, if you have any problems, give me a call, and I look forward to talking to you, and I look forward to seeing your beach videos.